Hey, everybody, welcome to the Approved Perspective podcast powered by Approved Social. Super excited for today's podcast episode. We have Robin from Go High Level. Super pumped to talk about with Robin about his product and also let him share some insights into how did he get here, what were the struggles along the way, some of these things that we've uncovered with these other podcast episodes that we've had. Super excited to have you, Robin.
Thank you for having me on.
What made you say, you know what, I'm going to do this podcast?
It's you. I can't say no to you.
I truly appreciate it. So, real quick intro for Robin, and then Robin, I think if you could just give yourself a little bit of an introduction as well. Robin and I connected because we're both founders of Saas products. Robin has two other founders along with him that created High Level, and it's just a fantastic marketing and sales CRM of sorts that can power your business to do just tremendous things. I've seen some really, really great testimonials for it. And a lot of the people that we have on this podcast, Robin, have actually been like, oh, yeah, I use that. That's what I use in my business. So it's really cool to see how ubiquitous it's becoming. And in this world specifically, you see a lot of interest there. But the thing that I'll say about Robin that stands out the most to me is his willingness to invest in others and spend a lot of time doing that. And, you know, to date, he's got a very successful business with lots going on. And he is sitting down with all sorts of folks to help me and others learn more about the journey of being a SaaS founder. Robin, thanks for doing that, man. I appreciate it. What made you so open to sharing this wealth of knowledge you got?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily a wealth of knowledge. It's more of I'll tell you my war stories, and
Yeah. Yeah.
do as I
What
say,
not
not as
to
I
do?
do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've always been an open book from that perspective, and here's what I saw, and take it, if you like it or not. And I always say, it's only worth the penny for the call, and then it's up to you to make it worth more. Because
Yeah.
words don't mean anything without action. But that's who we are, as who I am, and what we've kind of translated down to our team as well. It's just always listening and always finding opportunities to help. I think there are a lot of founders, a lot of company, CEOs and things like that. You kind of put yourself in this world of you're supposed to provide some level of value, and then
Mm,
immediately try to figure out how to be the authority, so much so that you get away from being close to the customer. You almost have to be in the ivory
mm,
tower and let your team handle it. And I think that's where I see a lot of people failing, and actually it gives opportunity for other people to come in and provide true value. Most of us, I hope, it's what got you in the business was helping. And so why why find ways to get away from that? And so I always find that quite interesting how people build the narrative
mm.
of, you know, I've been doing this for so long. Now it's time for me to step away. It's like, well, didn't you get in it because you love it? And if not, I
Yeah.
think there's something fundamentally wrong.
Yeah. And are you looking to, I mean, like, do you just want to retire or did you enjoy this whole process? Because I know for me and for you, like, I think this is sort of what wakes us up in the morning. What we're excited to go do is to serve our clients and make a better product, but also the team that we work with, the excitement of a new problem that you're experiencing that changes from day to day. Like, digital is changing, AI is changing everything, right? So you've got a lot of things that are happening right now. How do we pivot to stay on top of it, to continue to serve our clients, and at the end of the day also continue to make a salary and pay our employees and everything else?
Yeah,
You have
and
a Yeah.
I was gonna say, and that's honestly how we grow our business, by being close to the customer, because we don't have to make up anything or predict the future. They'll tell
I
you
love that
exactly what they need, and when you talk to five customers and there's kind of a consistent theme, like,
yeah.
maybe I should build this because this is what people are asking for. And not only does it build better adoption, builds better engagement, and people are willing to pay you more because you're solving a problem that they have.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny that you bring this up because in one of the podcast episodes that I watched beforehand, you gave some advice to entrepreneurs and you said, "Hey, secure your first customer and let their feedback shape the product." And I was going to bring that up later in the episode, but because we've kind of naturally gotten into it, you know, I think that was some advice honestly early on when we started talking, where you go, "Hey, go out there and today, because you are a smaller organization right now, go out and talk to the people that you can talk to. you personally, as the CEO, can make the time and effort to go have these conversations that could be critical to grow to the growth and development of your product. Without, instead of just sort of going forward thinking that you got everything in line and everyone's going to give you the feedback saying what the customer is wanting, it doesn't always happen. You got to be ear to the ground as you're getting started with that. Well, I do want to get into a little bit more of this in a second, but before we do, why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about your story, about how you got started here?
Yeah, going back, it's almost been a decade now, but of course, years ago, close to 20 years ago, entrepreneur, sold a company, at the age of 18. Didn't realize I was actually creating a quote, quote, an exit, but had to sell a company. It was an online game
Very
server
cool.
company, and was in college, and my parents were like, "Yeah, this internet money is not real.
Oh
Stop
my
it,
God.
get out of it." And I was just like, "Well, I have customers and stuff. Let me sell to somebody else so that I can keep on with school." But from there, working for
So
different.
they said, "Hey, here's the deal. You've got to. We'll keep helping you with school or whatever it was, but you got to get out of this business." Is that what happened?
Yeah, and it wasn't even so much though of we're gonna keep helping you. You're in school.
You need to
Why
be
are you
focused on
doing other?
school.
Yeah, you need to
Yeah,
be focused on
yeah.
school.
Parental advice.
I am Indian, and so we definitely have a strong parental advisement in education. Either you need to be an attorney,
Sure.
you need to be a doctor, you need to be a nurse, uh, engineer. Outside of that, there's really nothing else that exists. Entrepreneurship. While that's great, only the Bill
Yeah.
Gates of the world do it, or the Mark Zuckerbergs, right? You're not one of those individuals. So it wasn't something that they necessarily looked down upon. They just thought it's a safer bet, being the
Is it
engineer or
going to
whatever. So focus
last?
on that.
What's going to happen when things
Eh,
change? Yeah, I got you.
And when I
Okay.
was in school, internet money wasn't a thing, or at least common
Hmm.
thing, right? Like it was before
Yeah.
influencers exist. It was before Instagram. It was, there wasn't a lot of stuff online, and internet money was kind of fake in a way. Um,
Yeah.
and so,
Amazon. Everybody
from
would point to Amazon and be like, "It's still taking so many losses. I don't understand it." Well, okay.
yeah, I mean, and back then no one really knew of Amazon, right? Like it just wasn't
Yeah.
a thing. So it's definitely a different time. But from there, I started working for different companies, was a DJ for a little while. But then, somehow landed into marketing. And originally it was, I was in IT, and sorry, I have the new Apple emojis or whatever.
That's great.
But when I was doing IT for different companies, I would also get asked, "Hey, we're doing a big investment in technology. Not only are we spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in new servers, we're trying to update our online presence because that's where the world is shifting to. Can you look at these quotes? Can you give us your feedback and stuff like that?" And I just looked at it and think, "Wow, just a basic website for $30,000 or a quick database, isn't like high ticket." And it's like, well, I could do it for the same price, and you already know me. I already had that relationship for a little bit less. I can come in on a discount, and so I'll just slowly pick up these projects, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Not only was I helping on the tech side, I was really helping, from a digital marketing perspective, really helping their online brand, and so it was a very symbiotic relationship. Didn't know what I was getting into because you get into scope creep. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
creative opinions that go along the way. Um, but I enjoyed it for the first couple of projects, but you run into the problem of feast and famine, right? You get a couple of projects, and then once it's done, it's done. Even with
Mm.
scope creep, and you don't realize how much you're losing and things like that. But it was fun. But
The
then when
old
there's nothing
revenue
lined up,
roller
you're just like,
coaster.
yeah, you're just looking around like, where do I go next? And then from there, it was like, well, what can I do? And that's when I realized, like, if you can get to the top of the funnel, or as close as you can to the revenue line is what I like to call it, the likelihood of you having more of a consistent business is actually a lot easier, than you going out. Because I'm not really the salesperson, I'm more the relationship person. So I had
Mm-hmm.
existing relationships. I've already built out their projects. What else can I do? Well, can I just help them get more customers? Can I get to that revenue line? So that's where I got into a little bit of consulting as well as doing, the Facebook ads, Google ads, all those different things, SEO. Um, and then I ran into another stumbling block on these relationships I built. They're the best in their own industry. They're gonna be the best at being a dentist. They're gonna be the best at being a flower shop owner. They know how to
Mm-hmm.
make bouquets. They know how to fix cars. But when it comes to sales, very similarly, they're really good at relationships. So referrals, they win. But when you're doing
Yeah.
cold marketing, they don't know how to pick up the phone call and ask for a sale. They don't know how to just pick up the phone call and ask the customer, hey, I know that you're interested. Why don't we get you booked in? So it was an interesting point of, do we consistently go find new customers or do we continue down the consulting path and really help them? And really the consulting path was the path that I went down. And I remember sitting in a conference room with my team of like, oh, if we could just build a software, we're building all these automations out, but it's doing half the work. Can we go beyond that? And we mapped out this idea of a software product. And we left it on the whiteboard because we said, oh, got to get back on calls. We got more customers to deal with. And maybe about 2 or 3 months later, I got a call from today my two other co-founders. And well, it was actually a co-customer who reached out to me saying, hey, these two guys, they're trying to launch a new software. They really don't know what they're asking for. I don't know what they're asking for. They're asking for logins and passwords. I don't have it. You guys have it. Can you just call them and help them get it squared away? So I called them, we got it all figured out, and then I just started talking to them. And we really hit it off on that conversation. And I was like, well, hey, while I have you on, can you guys look at this idea? Do you guys think there's anything here? What do you guys think? How much would you guys budget for something like this? And they gave me an interesting response saying, give us a couple days, we'll call you back.
Hmm.
And I just kind of brushed it off because I didn't know, when you talk to someone who doesn't know the other person on the line, maybe they represent a big company, maybe they have a big team. Maybe I was just talking to the product manager. I didn't really do a background on who they are, what their
Yeah.
initiatives
Yeah.
are. And they just said, give us a couple days, we'll call you back. So I thought maybe they need to run up the ladder or they were going to refer me to someone else. I just assumed everyone is doing their own thing. And then 8 a.m., 3 or 4 days later, I got a call as I'm driving to the office. It's like, hey, dude, this is Sean. I was hoping we could jump on a call. I want to show you something. I was like, well, wait, who is this again? What are we talking? Like, I just
Yeah.
forgot about it, right? And then once we kind of explained this, it's like, give me 20 minutes, let me get into the office, get situated, I'll call you back. I forgot.
Oh
And
god.
I'm in a conference room with the team and we're just going through our morning huddles and stuff like that. And he calls me again. He's like, hey, you promised you were going to call me back. What happened? Like, oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot. Hopped on the
Like, I
computer
don't even remember
and
who you are, dude.
yeah, exactly. Right. And he was persistent and got on a call and had built out, they had a lot of the pieces, but it's more of how you use the pieces and how you formalize it. And that was kind of the first version of high level, in
So
the sense
they
of what's there
actually
today.
took that conversation and basically said, I know how we can make this happen. Let's go do like a basic MVP and just sort of, even without even really going into a whole lot of detail with you about it, right? Like y'all didn't have any other meetings. They just
This
ran
was
with it.
yeah, I mean, it was very simple in what I was asking for. Not too complicated or anything like that. But yeah, they built it and created a couple of a basic version. And to this day, we still follow this method. We call it the skateboard model. And you can actually
Hmm.
Google it. There's actually a lot of people who have written about it. But it's basically saying how fast can you build a skateboard so that someone can
Mm-hmm.
get on it and get from point A to point B? Because the second that you get someone on there, you'll realize what's working and what's not. And you continue
Right.
building, the handlebars, you put bigger wheels on there, and eventually it'll turn into a race car. But you can't get there
Mm-hmm.
until you get someone on it. And at that point, it was like, okay, well, let me try it. Let's get our first customer. So we just called that co-customer that we had. Can we implement it for you and see what happens? And so we did that. Amazing success. I was like, okay, well, let's get it to a few more of our internal customers in the agency. Immediate success. And then I was like, guys, you guys are bringing me so much value. I want to return, the value that you guys are bringing. Let me refer you to 20 other agencies that I know. And I was like, but here's the deal:
Cool.
for you guys to get them, I need a special offer. If you can do that, I can get them immediately. And so they gave me, we put together a special deal, a lifetime deal for those individuals. And agency owners, right? They say yes to everything. They love great deals, but
Yeah.
very few of them had the time or energy to get across the finish line. So the 2013 came back and actually did it. And here it was the pitch. Hey, you know me. I'm not here to BS you or anything like that. I've been working with these two other guys. We created a cool software. It worked great for me. We want to test it out on you. Use it for the next 30 days. And if you don't like it, no harm, no foul, walk away. If you like
Mm.
it, it's $1,000 for life and it's going to be $297 a month.
Right.
And all, the 13 went through, got to the finish line and they all bought. And
Every single one of
from
them.
every single one of the 13.
And
And
guys,
then,
that's a great script, right? I mean, Robin, that's such a simple, like, great example of don't go out and overthink what you're going to write to these folks. Make it clear, show the value. Hey, this worked for me. I have an agency. I do work in a similar space. All right, cool. We're on the same page now. Now go, and honestly, like, I just want to give this to you for free to try it out. Let's see if it helps you. And if it helps you, great. You get a special deal. If not, whatever. You try
yeah,
tools all the time in this space. So it's not an unusual request.
yeah, 100%. And we got one of those individuals, a good friend of mine, he actually just sold his agency and saw the value in this product, and he was becoming a business coach. So he was like, actually, guys, if you guys want to do more, I want to invite you guys to an event that I have in January, and you guys can pitch it. So, out of the three co-founders, one is in Qatar, one is in Oregon, and then, Sean, who's in Oregon, and me flew out to San Diego. Varun dials in through Zoom, and literally on the flight there, I'm creating landing pages and a new website. And Sean and me kind of sit in the hotel room the night before, like, all right, well, what are we going to talk about? It's like, I don't know. We'll just do a demo of the product.
Yeah.
And we got into the room, we pitched, and Varun, who's dialed in on Zoom, is just smiling on camera. We do the pitch in about 20 minutes. We run through it very quickly, and the room is silent. We're just like, okay, well, that was fun. I guess we're going to sit down.
Yeah.
And people are like, wait, we got a couple more questions. So then all the questions started coming in, and then people are asking like, hey, can we buy an annual version of this? And so I
Mm-hmm.
was like, sure. And I just kind of sneak away to the computer, added the product. And as people are signing up, Varun, who's just smiling on camera, probably didn't realize it, but hands are moving um, off camera because he's actually emailing out welcome emails for everybody.
Oh my God.
Right. And
Yeah.
we actually have a picture of the
No
spreadsheet of
automation
all of it.
set
Like,
up. It's just you're just running
just
and
doing
gunning and
it.
getting it going. Yeah.
Right. And then from there, we just made sure that everyone. So at that event, we had 20 people in person, I think 20 people virtually. And I think 39 of them bought on site, and the 40th person bought like a week later because they got FOMO because everyone's talking about it. And we just made sure that all 40 of them had an exceptional experience to where us three were onboarding every single person and getting to whatever point of success they were looking for. Some of them just needed to make sure they get logged in because they wanted to figure it out. Others wanted us to help them set it up. Some of them needed strategy, things of that nature. And of course, we're getting feedback along the way. People are like, oh, it'd be great if you can build this, or what about that, or what about this use case, and things like that. And we were just quickly building those features at the same time. But one of the most powerful things was once we found that we got to a point of success, we just asked two questions. Well, actually, three. It's did we get you to a point of success? In different ways, right? You just natural conversation. And
Mm-hmm.
once you can get them to smile and do an head nod of yes, we're like perfect. Do you know two other people that would love this software or could find use in it? And in our market, everyone is in different trade groups or agency groups or coaching programs or things like that, and everyone has somebody that they talk to, right? They're a buddy
Mm-hmm.
of somebody. Birds of a feather flock together. And we would always ask for two, knowing that if we got one, we're dollars up.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone would be like, "Yeah, I actually do. Let me actually, you know, yeah, you should talk to Preston Cone or XYZ person." We're like, "Perfect." Well, we also know that we're in the online space. Hey, do you think that they're online right now? Do you think we could invite them into the Zoom room? And
Ah,
surprisingly, a high
look at
portion of
that.
those would be like, yeah, actually, let's bring them in.
You know what?
And we
Let's
would just,
check.
it
Yeah.
would be a warm intro through Zoom. And then from there,
That
we
is
would
cool.
just start the demo. And normally the original person do the referral might jump off. They'd be like, oh, guys, hey, I got another call. You guys keep going. We'll talk to
Yeah.
you later. So now back to doing a one-on-one call with that individual, the new individual.
That's cool. Yeah.
And in some cases, I mean, there were times where we couldn't get a hold of them, so they're like, "Oh, I'll just start a Facebook message, group thread or a text thread or whatever to do the warm intro." But we did that with every single person, and we
And
keep
you
that
probably
model
had them do
today.
it on the call. So you're going, well, if they're not available for the Zoom, could you go ahead and send them an email or a text
Exactly.
or something? You're asking it to be done now. And if that person has already given you the agreement of, yeah, I'm happy with this. This is a good situation. More than likely they're going to return the favor to you and go, yeah, it's
It,
not that hard for me to send
well,
my buddy a message over at whatever agency.
exactly. I mean, I think that's the most important thing is when you get a sense of momentum, you keep the momentum going. So if they feel like they're getting progress and they say that they got to their version of success, You want to keep
Hmm.
that momentum going. Don't you want to give success to others? And so there, it's yes. Can you can I ask for two more people? And if they give you one, it's great. And then asking for, okay, now can you do the warm introduction or even a hot introduction where they come on the Zoom call? So those are the three things, and that allowed us to hack our distribution model very quickly.
Yeah. And I love it because this is like a very natural, very organic way to get started. And I think it goes so well with like the skateboard approach that you were talking about earlier. Like it's so much easier to build a skateboard than going out and building a bicycle or a dirt bike or a car, right? So start with something that you can build and iterate and get out the door quickly. But along that same idea is the organic growth aspect of it. And that was something that when we first talked, and I said, "Hey, what do you think? Should I focus on the website? Should I focus on this? Should I focus on that?" You said, "Hey, Preston, focus on talking to people and getting actual meetings with folks that you can have and say, hey, here's what our product does. Can we offer this special deal for you? Can we get it set up for you? Can we implement this for you?" And then move forward into the product and move forward into the website development later on as you need to refine it or whatever. But it's good enough for now. But I think there's a lot of questions for most people who are listening now about that because you can build something that is super shitty, or you can build, yeah, as an MVP, or you can build something that actually has real value. In the at the beginning stages of this, you went to them and they had questions and they had, it was obviously a detailed enough MVP that it did a lot. Can you just describe like some of the basic features at the time?
Yeah, I mean, it's the parent syndrome, right? You have the prettiest ugly baby in the world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, when you talk about like, can you build a shitty MVP versus an amazing MVP? Remember, your customer knows none the otherwise. And in fact, it's not your
Mm.
decision to find out if it's shitty or good. It's your customer's
It's
decision.
actually kind of why you're offering it to them. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And the faster that you can get it in the hands of more people, the quickly that you can make adjustments and iterate faster. I find it so
Mm.
silly. Like we're actually working with a vendor right now, and they have their software application, and we asked them to make a couple of changes, and they're like, "Well, we'll need to put it in
Yeah.
our pipeline. Oh, we'll bump it up to the top of our pipeline. So expect 2 weeks for us to do all this work to get it done." And we're just like, "It's a small little change. We just want to modify like something on the footer. Can't you just roll it out very quick?" Because that's what we would do.
Yeah.
And in a way, we feel like you're slowing down innovation and you're slowing down the ability for engineers and developers to get things out. When you build that cadence, it just becomes this flywheel effect of slowness,
Mm.
right? It's, well, you see, I can wait another day. I can procrastinate because my deadline isn't until this Friday, which means that
Hmm.
Friday I know that there's another 2 week cycle, so maybe I can actually skip it out until Monday. For us, it's, hey, Preston, you're the engineer. Talk to this customer. Oh, they need that fix. Get it done now, because
Mm.
when one person says it, 10 other people are feeling it. So if you're
Yeah.
confident in what you're delivering, why can't you just make the change now and all things are solved? The customer's
Hmm.
happy. You cross that off your list. Everything is good, right? And we win. And so that's what I
Yeah.
mean, I just find it so silly. And that's what we do as a company, is just quick bias to action.
It's funny that you say this because I worked in some political areas where speed was money, right? If we would put out a landing page, we might need it out in a few hours. And so you needed to be able to design, create copy, get legal approval, and create then all the resources behind to push it, ads and everything else to get it out the door very quickly. It's sort of very rewarding to make something fast and get it out the door and get it working. And sometimes there were spelling mistakes. Sometimes there were um images that got cut off incorrectly. There were things that sort of were errors that in normal marketing speak we would be very upset with. People, the creative directors would not be happy, right? And yet they performed very well. They actually would work. In some cases, those ads or landing pages that had small errors on them would perform better than ones that didn't when we were running an A/B test and testing these things out. So getting it out the door quickly, sometimes you go, I'm making mistakes and blah, blah, blah. Try to avoid those as much as possible. However, get it out the door. And I heard somebody tell me, before I read this, if you've made your product perfect before you've released it, you've probably spent too much time on the product. And you're probably going to find out there's areas that you overworked and you overspent, and maybe features that are just going to be sitting there as little bricks in the corner, paperweights.
I mean, 100%. I think the other thing that we found, from a tertiary perspective is, earlier we were talking about like spend your time talking to the customer. They will lead you to the promised land in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
When you find a bug or you find a new idea or a new issue that you can find a solution for and you build it very quickly, you end up building culture and community very quickly
Mm-hmm.
because they feel like they're involved, their input matters. And when you're able to cross that bridge there, you actually reduce churn because they
Mm-hmm.
know that they can come back to you for more. They're using the product because you solved their problem. But if you just kind of sideline it, you are risking churn because they're like, well,
Mm-hmm.
Preston is no longer taking my calls. Preston and the team doesn't want to listen to me. They have a major issue. They told me that they'll fix it sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I'm going to go somewhere else where I'm actually valued. I'm going to go somewhere else where they're actually listening to me. And I'm going to go somewhere where it doesn't feel like they're taxing me just to get what I need across the finish line. But if you
Right.
kind of flip that narrative, you're talking to the customer. They're going to tell you and guide you where you want to go. When they have an issue, you're quick to fix it. Now it doesn't feel like they're being taxed anymore. They're investing into a better product that's going to make them more money or solve a big problem for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? See how the model changes significantly just by doing those quick actions. You get the thumbs
100%.
up.
Yeah. Model changing. Thumbs up.
Yeah.
No, I think that's huge. And I've also worked in organizations where it's taken a month or more to get a landing page out the door from and it's the same type of landing page. And you go, man, these businesses are shooting themselves in the foot. And this is what happens when you start to scale. You do have to build these processes out. I get it. But sort of that culture, that idea of what you're talking about, which is, the customer and that relationship between you and the customer. It doesn't have to be, oh, this is a product, so therefore there is no relationship, or this is a tool, there's no relationship. There is a relationship there, especially if you want to build brand ambassadors, people like some of the folks that we've talked about for high level that are out there every day loving the product, talking about it all the time. And those are the folks that you want, because as we know, people who have negative experiences with our products, they're going to go tell a lot of people. People who have positive experiences, they're not going to tell as many typically, unless you're able to build that brand ambassador in that person. And I think that's what you guys seem to have done very well over at High Level, and just being able to say like, this is the product. Because when you talk to somebody that uses it, or they're all about it, and it's a huge part of what they're suggesting because it's working for them.
Yeah.
Um, but I think this is a big one. I just want to hammer the home this point that you've been making, which is, if you're out there and you're creating a product and you think you need to go out and build all of these features and things and get it perfect before you get it out the door, don't do that. Go ahead and stop, take a break, revisit what you're looking at, what you're building, and go maybe talk to someone right now. Go talk to one of your ideal clients, um, and see, hey, do you like this idea? Is this good? Are we going the right direction? It's going to feel vulnerable. You're going to feel like you might have made a mistake and maybe you wasted time, development, money, whatever. But trust me, it's going to make a big difference long term if you go ahead and take that break now and go look at it. Would you agree with that, Robin?
100%. And I think the ones that lean into that mindset not only helps you build that community, it's helping you quickly get the largest, people in echo chambers out the gate
Mm,
because they're the first ones, right? And people love being first movers. They want that story. I was the first to help Preston or the first to help Robin.
yeah.
And, it becomes their product in many ways, or it becomes their solution. And they're the best people to tell you who there are more people that need that solution. You need to go now talk
Hmm.
to these two individuals. And so that's why, there's no such thing as a perfect product. There's no such thing as a final product. It's always in beta.
Yeah.
And so once you get over your
That's true.
ego, just release it and go.
That's true. Yeah, yeah, and you're 100% correct. It's hard, man. I mean, I'm sitting here going, yeah, you're right. He's totally right. But it is hard, because you do have a feeling of when I release this thing, I want it to be perfect. I want it to solve the problems that I went about trying to solve. But you don't get there the first time. You get there
Yeah,
incrementally.
I think it's that feeling of what I deliver to the world has to be perfect, but it's not your judgment call to make. And I think that's what you have to remember. And so if you just go out with something faster, you can get it to perfection
Hmm.
without having to guess. And I think that's the difference that you go into. Your version, you're trying to predict that it's going to hit right out the gate.
Yeah.
And our model is we have no ego. We're not throwing out any bad product. It's here's just kind
No.
of a very basic version, just so that we can start a conversation with somebody, get them into the app, and tell me what else we need to build to make it useful for you. And
Hmm.
then from there you can go on. But if you try to build too many things, thinking that the next step after using the product is this, well, you're going to get a lot of, yeah, but what about this? What about that?
Hmm. Yeah.
And you just,
I find,
the speed of innovation changes quite a bit.
yeah. I find that as soon as you release your product, people are going to tell you what you need to add to it very quickly. And
Yep.
then you have to be able to have the wherewithal to bring that information together and go, okay, this is a problem that all of our customers are facing. And like you said, move quickly on trying to make a different change. We, originally released sort of an MVP version of the product, and the feedback was, hey, we need X, Y, and Z from all of the beta testers. Pretty much everybody was like, this is what we need. Great. We were able to then go build that product. And now when we go talk to agencies, I really don't get that feedback anymore. When I'm talking to folks who are thinking about the product, they go, oh, okay, well, it's got all these things. Because that is already sort of taken off the table. So when you've transitioned from, hey, we built this MVP product to, hey, we are, you know, a large company. How many employees? You guys have several hundred
Uh,
employees, right?
yeah, I think by the end of the year we'll be a little over 800 people worldwide.
You're at 800 people worldwide.
It
This
is
is
beyond scary.
it's a big business, dude. That's fantastic. It's so exciting. And not we're not putting you on a pedestal, but we're using I hope you know this, but like it's good for us as folks who we might even be the same age, might be older, younger, I don't know, but to be able to look at other folks and go, okay, this is possible. There is ways to do this. You can build a business, whether you want to build an 800-person business or not. There are ways to grow and scale. But transitioning from, hey, I've got this MVP product where I'm moving quickly to, and now I have 800 people, and I still want to maintain that same level of relationship with the client so that we can move quickly. Can you just give one or two tips, or maybe just an idea of like how do you maintain that in your business today?
Yeah, it's definitely tough. I think, we get, as you start growing a business, you start walking down a weird, or you get to a weird crossroads. Either you continue doing what you're doing, which feels very uneasy because there's that
Hmm.
lingering thing in the back of your mind of this statement that's out there. What got you here is not what's going to get you there.
Hmm.
But I'll tell you that uh, who says that's not true, right? And for us, the reason that we have 800 people is because we've never stopped doing what we started with. Every
Yeah.
single customer that comes in, we're still onboarding. We're still asking those same questions. We're still doing the same exact things that we started. Now, we could easily go down the other path and try, I do that in air quotes, try the scalable methods where you try to do more in-app things and you try to doing, you know, different levels of support and you try to tax your customers for more. The problem is you're trying new things. And so when you have momentum and you create the flywheel, why stop the momentum? And I think
Hmm.
as entrepreneurs, what the issue really is that it feels like it's boring by doing the same thing
Mm.
and trying to scale that up versus you starting over and trying a whole new method. That sounds fun, right? Oh, maybe we can try this new thing. Maybe we could do this other thing. And like you're starting to talk like a gambler in many ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. right?
Which
I'm trying to
probably a
make a
lot
bet
of
on
us
this.
are, unfortunately.
100%. But
We have that
we've kind
mindset
of,
at least. If you're going to go take risks, you're going to be an entrepreneur. You might have that.
yeah, the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward, right? And I kind of look at it as, well, I've already figured out the reward. How do I do that reward even faster with more people? And so that's why we've grown. We're just creating that flywheel and we haven't stopped. Now, it's the most efficient and things like that. We have 800 people, so it's probably not, but it is working. And we are extremely resistant in changing the model because
Hmm.
no one has come to the table saying, I can kind of come back to the gambler model. Can you guarantee me that we can keep the same momentum, the same culture, the same community by changing? And unless if you're willing
Hmm.
to down that hill, I'm not willing to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Well, and I
so
think like you've said, through this episode, I mean, you've built a relational business with people who, in a lot of ways, most people think of it as non-relational when you're talking about software or SaaS or whatever. Um, and I think, we've talked about some strategies off air that you guys use to make that happen with Zoom, with other ways to really bring in folks, and communicate with them, touch base with them, solve their pain points, help them install, an integration, or help them do certain things to make sure that they are going down the right path of using the product and everything else. And I think that's a very different approach. But when you're looking at lifetime value and you're looking at um, churn, I mean, it's got to be a massive improvement compared to some of these that are just cold emails going out reminding you to re-up your bill or whatever it is, you know what I mean, versus what you guys have.
yeah, I mean, we have a saying internally, you sell people on what they want, but then you give them what they need. There is this narrative of
Mm-hmm.
a consumer going into a SaaS product and it's supposed to be self-serve, it's supposed to be easy, and anybody can solve it. So we give you that perception. If you come to our website, it's a pretty old website. We haven't updated it because we're scared of any change, because it's
It
working,
works.
right? But when you come in, you definitely can walk in with that self-serve mentality. But we know that it is actually a very complicated process in getting, because we're replacing 20 different products, right?
Mm-hmm.
And figuring out the strategy behind it. So we force you to get on a Zoom call as soon as you come in. And by force, I mean like we're sending you emails, we're calling you, we're
Yeah.
texting you, asking, can you come in, please? Because we know the success rate is significantly higher because this is what we've done from the beginning. But
Mm-hmm.
some people just can't let off the fact of, well, every other software it's all serves, so why shouldn't yours? So we try to play that balance there. Um, but the relationship is really what wins long term. And we've definitely flipped the model, because I think other software products, and you coming in as a new software founder, you look at scalability comes in as the first question. But it's relationships that keep the customer around,
Mm-hmm.
and it's what pays the bills, not the product in itself.
Right. And, when you are starting out like us versus you, don't be afraid to get out and talk to your potential customers or your current customers. I mean, if you've got under 1,000 customers, 500 customers, you could break it down over 6 month, year, three, whatever, break it down and make a direct communication with those people. I think, I think it was you in one of our earlier conversations where you gave me that advice. You said, "Hey, how many customers do you have? Well, go talk to them, because this is like one of the few opportunities now where you can talk to every customer that you have. It's probably not going to happen down the road. It's probably going to be where you're going to have to do sort of bulk things like a podcast or an event or whatever. So use this time to really drill down and talk to uh, who your customers are
It,
now." And I think that was just great advice. We want to skip it because I think in some ways we want to feel like we're maybe above or beyond it now. We don't need to do that. Um, but it's not necessarily about that. It's about building that culture for your employees to see and model after, but also building that relationship with someone who could be potentially a brand ambassador. And that's how you grow your business. I mean, you went from offering it to those select group of people for that lifetime offer, and those people becoming, I'm assuming, brand ambassadors who were freaking happy as clams that you solved their problem, gave them a great deal, and they were able to share that with others. And that's, looking at you today, fast forward to today, you go, that was a fantastic strategy. We don't need to necessarily get away with it. If you're a founder and you're short on cash and you can't go out and spend tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars in ad spends and marketing budget, start by doing something very basic like this and do outreach. Maybe even start a podcast or something, right? Like, you can have these relationships start to form by doing something like this. And so there's a great way for you to be able to model after these things. Well, Robin, I want to take a quick second and look at something that's in the news today. And I think this is really interesting because what we're seeing now is global Google searches for brands with social purpose is up by 133%. It says, basically we're looking at people who are going, I want to work with brands that have a social purpose. What are your thoughts on this as we go into sort of this world of tools, SaaS products, and you've got folks that maybe they support some social purpose, maybe they don't, maybe they're very clear on that. Have y'all taken a stand on that, or do y'all do any sort of social work like that?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely within our community we do workshops and things of that nature, and really try to empower more people because I'm a firm believer in referrals and seeing testimonials of people actually winning is more powerful than the claims from the product themselves, right? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
built this crazy hammer. The hammer is going to solve all your problems. Me saying that doesn't go as far as Preston, you coming in saying, "Hey, I bought this camera from Robin. Look at all the cool things that I've done."
Mm-hmm.
That goes a long way. And so we empower those individuals to come in. We do workshops. We do, different lessons and stuff online, webinars and things like that. But then also in person, we actually just hosted our large event as well. And that was actually our second time doing that. And it brings everyone together, not only to learn from these individuals, but also from the opportunity of, just continue to build that community because now you're
Yeah.
empowering everybody to have a voice. And so it's just
Yeah.
creating larger and larger echo chambers everywhere you go.
Right. And there's different ways to do it. Obviously, you can do the Tom's approach where you're sending shoes out to somebody, or you can do the community approach where you're helping educate and grow businesses where they're out actually providing for people's family, their employees and everything else. You're literally making an impact on them. And I know that, man, people love your events. I've heard some great things about both of the events that have happened. And you just came off of finishing one, so you're probably still
Uh,
recuperating off of that.
Yeah.
A lot of
I
good
mean,
energy there.
yeah, oh, 100%. We had about 800 people that came in from around the world.
Not
And
just your employees.
yeah, no, I mean, that's another 60 people. So just
Yeah.
direct attendees was about 800. It was definitely fun because we got to learn about the businesses themselves, what they're doing. Now we're talking to people face to face. And, what was fun about it was we had 800 people. We sold out of tickets about 2 months early. We had another wait list of about 650 people that didn't get a ticket in time, and people were pushing us to go bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm trying to push back because when you go bigger, you won't be able to have that face to face and opportunity to talk to people.
Yeah.
Um, we were walking around the event, we were shaking hands, talking, and listening to stories. So I think it was very important for us to continue doing that. But very similarly, it's it's just more opportunities to get in front of our customers, talking to them, and understanding who they are, and
Hmm.
building that community.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that when you're able to look at building a community with your software, and you guys have done this well. I mean, who can you think of? Russell Brunson's done. There's so many different people that you can look at and go, they built more than just their products or offers or whatever. They've built a community of people, and they, of course, Russell is a great example of doing it in segments and doing the one funnel channel challenge and this, and then Facebook groups where people are in community together, growing it together. But I think that if you're a SaaS founder and you're out there creating, your product, thinking about communities, maybe not on the top of your mind initially, But if you can sort of understand that they're all going through the same problems, they're all experiencing some of the same pain points and the frustrations of running, whether it's an agency or whatever business you might be out there running. We all have similarities, and we can all grow and learn from each other. And I think it's a very powerful mechanism. We talked a lot about that today in this episode. Real quick, so we've been going pretty good here, and we've got 46 minutes. I do want to ask you though, there's a lot of change happening right now. AI and machine learning and everything that's happening. And I feel like in the digital world today, if you aren't on top of all of the products and tools, or if you're not sort of daily looking at these different optimizations and products for your company, you're sort of falling behind. What are you guys doing to look at the evolving landscape of what's happening and to continue to offer
Yeah,
solutions that make sense for your folks?
definitely. I mean, AI is a big core of what we're focused on in building. A lot of it is just doing what we know that customers are already doing. Can we just provide more enablement of AI to assist along the way? So when you get into funnel building, of course, there's copywriting. When you get into social media, copywriting, image generation, all those are there. I think the next level for us and what customers are really asking for is, can they leverage AI to basically build a stack from A to Z, all the way
Mm,
from top of funnel, from lead generation to conversations. So we have conversation AI already in the tool. So it can conversate to, book people in an appointment, close them on a sale. We have AI in booking calendar appointments, which I just mentioned, all the way to doing an invoice and doing AI
mm,
driven reminders to get paid, then doing review requests and doing AI driven responses. And so now can we take all those into one and do it almost as an AI driven prompt, or, something even cooler, just by understanding who your businesses are. Maybe it's not prompt driven, maybe it's more search driven. So you post the URLs about your business, and it's like, oh, well, you do this, and this is kind of your style. So boom,
hmm.
here's now your business ready to go.
I love it. So your strategy right now is, hey, let's see how we can integrate AI into our product and sort of elevate what we're already doing.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the overarching sentiment for me is, give it about another 12 months at max, and AI as a term is no longer a thing. It's more table stakes, right?
Mm.
Like, of course there's AI. Like, why would you even build a software that doesn't have it,
That
right? So
doesn't have it. Yeah.
yeah, so AI is just more of a thing. It's just the buzzword right now. But I think
Hmm.
it's more about, how do you automate or how do you streamline processes from A to Z without
Hmm.
anyone ever knowing?
Yeah. Yeah, because right now every product is just wrapping ChatGPT or another AI essentially for their use, right? And so there's tons of tools coming out that have all these things. But I think what's going to rise to the surface as we get down the road is going to be tools like yours who did pivot, they did integrate it quickly, which was sort of a no brainer. But I'm sure some are going to fall behind. And I don't have to go now to three different AI tools or software to go create that thing. I can go to high level and I can get my schedule done and I can do it. So there's not some fancy AI tool out there that's doing the scheduling that I need to go set up, right? I can do all of that by connecting products and other things within high level. So I think that's huge. Well, Robin, I want to be respectful of your time. We got a lot of things going on in our worlds. Tell us anything you want to leave the people with, any cool events or products or things that you want to talk about. The floor is yours for a second.
No, I think, of course we have high level, and high level is, we're trying to take over in the agency space, and really just any marketer that's out there really looking for the right tools. But we love our marketplace and integrating with other tools such as yours. Approved Social is doing a lot of cool things, and want to give a
Yeah.
shout out to you guys.
Thanks, Robin. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, we're excited because that's actually I sent an email out recently to a select group and um, talked about some of the future for us and go high level, integrating with you guys, integrating with Ad Creative AI, and just there's a handful right now that we're working on currently. And how does that work? How does that look? And so I'm super excited when that happens, and I'm waiting for this. When that happens, I'd love to be able to talk to your folks, but I don't want to we're trying to do the same approach. I want to provide value to them and to you, And so when we have that ready to go, we're going to be super pumped to release it and talk a little bit more about it. But I just think, being able to manage your ad creative, all of that stuff, get approvals, speed up the review process is huge. We've recently done a case study on it, and we've seen that about 40% reduction in time to launch an ad campaign using Approved Social versus not. And so the momentum, as you speak of, is growing. We're starting to see a lot of cool things happen. And so now it's integrating with tools like you that have the audience that can continue to grow us forward. That's another strategy for folks to talk about maybe on another podcast. But if you're a business out there and you can go make partnerships with other folks that have your ideal customers, it's probably a good strategy. Well, Robin, thanks so much for your time today, man. Guys, this is, again, powered by Approved Social. We just talked about it. But if you want to check it out, I'll give you a 60-day free trial. Just send me a message and I'll give you something complimentary. And maybe we'll even sit you down and help you implement the tool so that your entire team can be integrated very quickly and model after Robin and Go High Level. And if you haven't, go check out Go High Level. All right. Thank you, Robin. Appreciate it.